Hello, my favorite people. Welcome back for part two. That's right, part two. So, I'm Tiger, and this is the Tiger on Fire, and we are working on building a retirement plan. Just a kind of a template. And part one, we covered a bunch of questions that kind of prep you if you're ready for retirement or if you're not ready for retirement. It's psychological questions, I guess, and things to think about that most people don't ask themselves. The hard hitting questions, like what scares you, what excites you. I mean, you can add questions and whatever to it if there's other questions I should be asking in part one. And if I miss some that I should be asking myself, let me know in the comments. So, part two, we're going to talk about finances. So this is going to take a little while, and I'm doing these recordings. So like I'm going to try to do each part every Saturday. So for the next for 5 weeks straight on Saturday, I'll do one of these things, and they're kind of long. I apologize. Uh, so we're going to be talking about finances today, and the finances is a very very big part of being fire on fire, being able to retire and stuff because those are the magic numbers. You hear a lot of people, what's your fire number or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the magic number is. Only you know. But we figure this stuff out. So we want to figure out where the problems are at, where are we good at, and what behaviors do we need to change. So let's kind of get into it, and we'll see what it goes. So on our book, I got two here. Um, on our book, on a our pages after our questions and stuff. And like I said, you can add more questions too if you think there's relevant questions. I definitely like to hear if you have better questions. Those are just what I work with. But okay, so finances. Well, you need to write down accounts. So you need to identify all the different accounts that you have money in. These is bank accounts, investment accounts. If you have a Robinhood account and a Webull account, a Fidelity account, Schwab, write all those down. You don't need the numbers or the details, but you need to know what kind of account it is. Is it an investment? Is it a bank? Like, I have all my banks. I have pension in here. I have an HSA account. I have my mortgage in there because that is actually an account in my bank, but that's also comes down to a debt, right? So I have all my accounts, all my different fidelity accounts, my retirement accounts, my IRAs, et cetera, et cetera, my investment accounts, bank account, whatever. I have all these stuff. My bonds account, like I have a bond account with a bond company, and I have it listed there. Even more details actually offset. In case something happens to me, my wife knows how to log in or how to access the stuff to get the money. All right, so go through. You just got to break it down. Like I said, I just have the account type, and I put in there kind of what the value was as of today of that account. It's not very very important, but you can put a value of like the account that it is at that date. You can put a date there too. Hey, at this date, um, this is what it was worth. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I was just kind of looking because I wrote some numbers and my numbers are doing pretty good from the last time I wrote it down. Interesting. All right, so you skip a page or two, and we're going to get into obligations. Obligations are debt. Obligations are what you are required to pay back because you took out some kind of loan or whatever. Rather, it's a credit card. Rather, it's your mortgage. So on mine, I have a mortgage and I have a credit card. Uh, Credit card we use for everything, right? We pay it pretty much every week. We don't let that have a balance. We pay off whatever we can pay off. We pay the full thing every week for the most part, but we use it for to buy our gas. We use it to for everything, minus the mortgage and some other bills that come straight out just out of our checking. And the reason why we use the credit card is that we get 2% cash back for everything that we buy. So why not use a card that gives you 2% cash back or some kind of reward on everything that you buy? You get a little bit of money coming back, and I'm not paying any interest fee on it because I'm paying it off every week. So cash reward card back is love it. We've like I said, we use it for everything, so we're getting 2% back. We're making pretty good money back with it. At least getting some kind of a bonus. My bank is a credit union, so I don't know how banks are. I would stay away from banks. I'm not a big bank fan. Credit unions, your money's a lot better off in a credit union. We use like Navy Federal. I think Navy Federal is what we've used primarily in the now. We've had some banks before, and they're not good. But anyways, we have a mortgage. That's our obligation. So those are my two obligations. We don't have a car loan. We don't have any other loans. We don't have any other credit cards. We've had those in the past, and we did everything we could to knock it down. I mean, we've been in debt pretty hard before a couple of times, and we've gotten out of it because we have our own little budget system that works. But the mortgage is what we owe, and we are knocking that thing down, slowly but surely. But I think we will always have a mortgage here until we decide to leave this place. We're going to probably sell this and then move out west someplace. So that's the goal. So why pay the house off if I don't know, I can make more money in my investments then it makes sense. All right. So those are your obligations, and then we're going to get into like debt. So the next set of pages we're just going to call debt. And this is different than the obligations. The obligations, you're obligated to pay your mortgage, you're obligated to pay credit cards. Debt is more like in my term, how I use it is like I have a subscription that is every 3 years in January. The amount is $740, right? It's a subscription. It's what I was using for it's a technical subscription to help me keep up on certain technologies and stuff. So every 3 years, I can expect it to come in. I have some security cameras that I pay every year on. Some other subscriptions I have. So I'm listing things down, and I break it down. Well, let me take a step back. So I would go through all your bank statements, all your credit card statements that you have, and go back. I would say 2 years. I say 14 months or greater. In my case, this 3 year one I have every 3 years kind of popped up on me and surprised me. So maybe you might need to go 3 years back, but maybe go through 2 years back and jot everything down. That because you might overlook something that's a yearly subscription or every other year. You want to identify what's coming out every month, quarterly, weekly, whatever. So I broke my debts down yearly or greater. So I have like my security cameras. I have a subscription for my travels. If I'm going to go on vacation, I can plan out road trips. My gym membership, right? I pay a yearly fee on that, right? Then I have like a semi-annual, annual word salad, semi-annually section. Something that's paying twice a year, which I don't have anything. Quarterly, I have quarterly bills like my sewer, water, trash is paid every quarter, not monthly. So I have that on there, and what I have on there, have what it is, what type of a bill is it, when is it typically due, and what the amount is. So like My sewer trash could be anywhere from, we'll say $200. My puppy dog's getting come back, silly guy. To $300, right? Come. And then next page, I have monthly. So I break down everything that I pay monthly. So monthly is my power, my insurance, my any like monthly subscriptions I have, say like Hulu, Netflix, whatever, Kindle. I have different things, and my male dog is on alert, because he's a male dog. He's got to protect us from everything. But that's what he does. And then I have semi-annually, something that's paid twice a month, weekly. Uh, I just kind of break it down. Once you go through all your bank statements and other statements that money's going out someplace, and you identify what is going out on and what the interval they're going out on, that will help you indicate what where your money's kind of going to, and maybe you don't need Hulu because you don't watch Hulu. Maybe you don't. That's a weird bird. It sounds like someone was dying. It basically will help you eliminate or identify what you can eliminate and what you really need to keep. What's a necessity? What's really not? Come on, silly boy. Yeah, that's a good job. All right. Oh, he heard the bird. That's what's going on. All right. So then once we identify all the stuff that we got going out, let's identify what's coming in. So basically, coming in, we know what, I know what my wife's paychecks typically are. I know what my checks were, and anything else that we had coming in on a regular basis. I would write down and what the amount is, or how often it came out. Like we have one check that comes in every month. We have like income that's like 2 or 3 times a month, whatever. I got paid twice a month. She got paid every 2 weeks, right? So we know what the checks look like, how that income kind of played into, and then so we kind of take that. We know what's coming in, and we can kind of balance our expense ratio. So in the next few pages, we just kind of broke everything out even more. Like, okay, I broke everything out because we're starting to build a budget, right? We want to build a budget. So I have different categories, right? So, I have the income is what I was just talking about. Savings, do you have a savings account? You list them here. Obligations, that would be your mortgage. Transportation would be something like fuel, tires, car maintenance. Go ahead and break down all the stuff that would go in these categories. Transportation, it would be car, I don't know, car loan, bus pass, whatever it is that you're using that falls in that category. Food, groceries, dining out. Another one would be utility for power, sewer, water, trash, HOA, I guess, whatever is a kind of a constant that allows you to be where you're at. Health and living. We usually don't have health other than HSA. So we like prescriptions, or we go see a doctor. You got to pay the copay. That's what would fall under. Subscriptions would be like Hulu, Kindle, YouTube subscription, anything that's a regular, whatever, right? Well, we already identified what's going out, so now we just need to know and put it in categories. Children, pets, if you have either or both, vet, you're kind of figuring all these things where your money's going to kind of go out of. Charity, entertainment, and anything that's other. So once you have all those items figured out what the category is, and then now you need to kind of sit there and go through like transportation, right, is a good example. We have fuel. We know we need to buy tires. We have 4 vehicles. We're probably buying tires every year or every other year for at least 1 or 2 vehicles. Fuel, we budget fuel every month. We set aside a certain amount of money for fuel every month. You're figuring out what the cost is, and then say, well, instead of doing each each line item for tires, for car maintenance, I need to get an oil change or something like that, or new tires, or I just say transportation gets say $400, right? And that will cover everything in that category. That's my bucket, right? Food, the same thing. Groceries and restaurants go under my food, super category, right? Uh, my subscriptions, anything that's a subscription, we budget so much for a subscription. And the way we work it is we have subscriptions, right? We have so much, set dollar amount. We can't go over that amount. Say it's $100 for subscriptions, right? In order for us to take a new subscription, we need to stop another subscription, right? Because unless we haven't reached that $100 a month, but once we get there, something's got to go for us to get. And that's the key thing. We're building these buckets, and we're budgeting these buckets, right? Based off our income. So we have food, we have housing, we have uh, all these different categories, and you can break these categories up however you want. I would say buckets, or however you want to do your budget. For us, it's buckets. I have a transportation bucket, I have a food budget, subscription bucket, a housing bucket. Housing would be mortgage. Housing would be anything I want to fix the house with. It also would be like if I want to buy plants out in the yard. That's part of my housing budget, right? So mortgage is factored in there, and any little bit of extra money that I want to apply each month to upkeep the house is what it goes in that bucket. So we figured how much everything's going to cost. We go through. We figured out our income that we're making every month, right? And we're deducting that. All right, housing is this, transportation is this, food is this. Don't forget to budget your WAM. 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 Everybody gets a WAM in the house. Everybody. I don't care if it's your kids, right? Your little kids get WAM too. What is WAM? Walking around money. You gotta have walking around money. The rule is, you know, I will get my WAM. My wife gets her WAM, right? When my kid was young, he got WAM. It wasn't as much as hers or mine, but it's an allowance basically. And WAM means walking around money. And my wife she has no say in how I spend my money. That's my money. I can do with it as however I want with whatever I want. Same thing with her, right? Same thing with my kid. That's no questions asked, and you better not ask. You can't be upset. You can't. It doesn't matter. It does not affect you. It's my WAM. I'm going to spend it however I want. I can save it or do whatever I want with it. It's my walking around money. You need to give yourself an allowance. You need to budget that in there. Everybody, even if it's $20 every payday, you need an allowance or WAM, right? WAM. I love it when my wife's WAM. Don't question me about my WAM. The if I'm gonna go buy shoes or get my hair did or my nails, or buy something computer stuff, I save up and I spend money on that. If I'm gonna buy me a shirt, it comes from my WAM. Okay, it's not living expenses. You can if you want, but if I'm gonna get a haircut, I'm paying for it out of my money. It kind of forces me to budget my own money a little bit, and to be a little bit more frugal with how and what I spend my money on. If I'm budgeting, hey, living expenses like health and beauty, I get some things shouldn't be upon, because women have a lot of weird expenses, I guess. But, I wouldn't say everything, but if a woman wants to get her hair did, use your WAM money, right? And my wife, she uses her WAM money, right? But she's not going to the nail salon every week either. She'll probably go once a quarter or something like that. I don't know. However she wants to spend it, that's fine. we've kind of agreed upon this, and we both agree that no questions asked. Spend it on what you want. If I'm going to go buy me a pair of shoes, I'm paying for it with my wham money. Um, you might be surprised how well that works when you try that. You are not buying stuff just to buy stuff because you have the money, whatever. It's your money, so you're gonna hopefully not spend it because you think you have an infinite pennies in your pocket. So yeah, you know. So wham is very very important. Sorry, carried on one. So you're gonna sit there and budget and build your budget, and I use Monarch money and a combination of paper. So we're at now. We actually have two budgets right now, and one budget my wife has, and that's that her paycheck covers all this stuff, and then we have. Let's take a step back. Yeah, so her income covers all these different categories, right? And they cover almost everything except for two things. Yeah, three things, right? Um, but anything that's left over after our budget, like so much money, there's a pot of money that we call an error fund. Error fund is what's ever left over from the paycheck or the income for that pay period. For that pay period, very important. Say it's $491, right? If there's something, if we go over anything in there, or we need to pull money because something unexpected happens, we will pull it from this error fund, this bucket, right, to cover any other expense. Say we we went over our electricity and we need 50 $75 to cover the electricity bill, for whatever, because it's 120 degrees outside right now. So yeah, the AC is going to pull a lot more electricity, right? Well, we can pull it from that air fund. Now, the trick is, next payday, when that payday comes, anything that's left over in that air fund goes into another pot. It goes into saving. We wipe that clean. That is zero. Zero it out. And anything left over there goes into a vacation fund or an investing fund or emergency fund, whatever we determine that we want to put it. And we can change it up anytime. So right now we have it going in there, building up our emergency fund. I believe that's where we got it, right? And then we go through the budget. We know exactly how much we budget for. So transportations get this. Food gets this much money. So we're taking the same amount of money and we're moving kind of like a transfer, but on paper. All right, food this, transportation this, and then if every time I go to the grocery store, I'm subtracting from the bucket that we have set aside for groceries, right? If I go to, I don't know, we'll say Trader Joe's or Giant or Safeway or Aldi or whatever grocery store, it's all going to get deducted on paper, um, and we're going to deduct. Say we have $600, right? Is what we're budgeting for. We're deducting from that, and whatever's left over at the end of the period for any of these buckets, with the exception of the air fund, stays there. The next payday comes. We just add that $600 to say if $120 was left over, we add $600 on top of that 120. We kind of increase it. Now we do this all year long, and at the end of the year, like January, the first year, we take whatever's left over in these buckets for the most part, and then move them into another bucket. Hey, this is extra money that we saved up. And so we're going to put it into our emergency fund, or we're going to put it into a vacation fund or investment, whatever we decide is best for it, right? So all that money is being saved up. It's just a way that we save money and do something with. So and if we go over and we continually go over any of our budgets, say our food, right, groceries and stuff, groceries and restaurants go in the same bucket for us, right? So if we go out or we order takeout, it's coming out of our grocery bill. So you're not. We try our best not to go over what we budget every month. And it can be hard because with the cost of living going really up, um, companies are making it really, really hard to survive, right? And eat decent. So, so I don't know if I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but the buckets of money, we're applying everything to that every month, and we're subtracting to these things every month. And if we go over it, and we can pull from the air fund, yes, one time. But if it happens more than two times, especially in a row, or it's happening more than it is, maybe we need to look at reevaluate how much money do we really need for that fund, or we need to change our habit. Maybe not eat out as so much. Why are we going over the budget? Well, we can see on the paper. Well, we ate out at some fast food, or ate out 20 times this month, and if you order pizza, that's one pizza will cost you $75, right? Uh, so it gets expensive, right? And you know that's what doing it on paper. And like I said, we use monarch money. And that kind of we kind of we use that because the visualization is great. We do it on paper because you retain the memory a little bit better, and you can kind of visually see it a little bit better because you're writing it down and you're tracking it. The monarch money that I use, and you can use Quicken or whatever else, but I like monarch money because they have some pretty good AI, and it's a little bit of learning curve, but I figured out all the budget stuff and everything else, and we could review everything that's coming in. So we kind of use that as when we budget to just to make sure that we are seeing exactly what, and then I can set things up so my wife, she has to review something. So like anything in these accounts, automatically she has to review it. Anything in these accounts, say like my investment ones, or my WAM bank account, I get to review anything that comes out of there. I get assigned to review it. You know? So I can sit there and pick and choose who reviews what, and we can sit there and verify that this is good, this is right. What is this one? We don't recognize this charge, and then we can dig into it. So, like I said, we use both. Um, uh, I like I don't mind paying for the Monarch money. That's actually been a lifesaver as far as the reports and stuff is awesome. Doing it on paper retains and keeps your sanity. If something happens with the computers or whatever, you have the hard paper, and you kind of know exactly where you're at because you're actually writing the stuff down. You retain better when you write things down. I don't care what anybody says. You can say all what you want, but you can retain it better when you write it down. So that's why we do it. Budgeting. Budgeting is very, very important. You need to know where your money's going, how are you spending money, what can you cut, and what you need to adjust. The more frugal you are, the more you're not spending more than you make, and if you can keep cutting that down and keep cutting corners or being more creative, and using that money to advance your retirement, or save up, even if you're not using it for retirement, but even you save it for a project like, hey, we need to do the kitchen, right? Let's use some of this money to renovate the kitchen, right? So at the end of the year, anything that we saved up, we can say, hey, any extra food, that extra money we have in our groceries and transportation, let's go ahead and put it in the kitchen fund. So we do have little funds for projects like that in our budget that's set aside, but it may not be set aside to get money added every month. It might be just, hey, at end of the year reward. Next, like if you're getting bonuses, IRS income return, whatever, we take that money, and that money goes straight back into investing. Or someplace. We don't spend that because, hey, we can spend it. We try to make that money work for us. So any money that you have lying around, you don't want to sit there just collecting dust. make it work for you. And if your money's just sitting in a savings account, think about putting it in the money market. Think about investing it into the stock market. Think about the different types of investments. Try to get smart on some of the investments. Uh, there's stocks, there's index funds, there's leverage accounts, there's income funds, there's high yield income funds. There's all kinds of stuff. There's option tradings. There's a whole world out there. Some things I don't like, some things I do like when it comes to investing. But make your money work for you. Uh, but the budgeting is going to be the most important thing. If you don't have a budget, you are not going to be successful in your retirement. You can probably slow down once you're in retirement and you got things figured out. But while you're planning, you need to get your retirement, your budget in order. Simple as that. Simple as that. And if you have any a budgeting advice or a different way of doing it, let me know. Give me some comment. Give me feedback. I love it hearing it, just reading it and seeing it. I can't talk. Yeah, let me know. I think budgeting is very, very important. Like I said, we do it. I'm retired. We still budget. I budget pretty much weekly, if not every other week. My wife goes through, does the same thing. We review it pretty much weekly. We talk about to each other. Oh, and when I said we have two different budgets, I want to circle back because my wife is taking care of a bunch of other things. I'm doing good enough with my investments that I have taken the mortgage off her plate, and then I'm actually paying the mortgage for my investments I get every month. Okay, so that's paying the mortgage, right? And then I'm paying my wham out of it, and I'm saving a little bit of extra money for a couple other buckets that we figured, you know what, it might be worth putting money set aside just for those because we're going to need that for a little bit. So, and then everything I have left over goes back into reinvesting or into like an emergency fund. We're kind of building up our emergency fund a little bit because I want to have a certain amount of money that's slower going because I'd rather invest the money and make the money work for me other than slowly doing nothing. So it's kind of a give or take. But my investments are doing pretty good. And that's what has kind of helped me pay some of the bills and contribute back to the family. So my wife's got more money freed up in her paycheck and the budget that she has. With me quitting, and the budget got a lot tighter because there's only one income coming in. So by alleviating like the two, one big bill and then a couple other buckets, that frees up a lot more cash and error fund. Remember, error funds, anything that's left over from the budget from hers, goes into God, oh, my dogs are being crazy. Train of thought lost because my dog is crazy. So it alleviates a little bit better positioning where she's more comfortable and not having anything at the end of the month, right? But taking the mortgage and some other things alleviates that. She's got a bigger pot for the air fund, and then I budget everything else with that, and then I'm working the investments to make sure that we will both be a lot more secure in the future when she decides to jump that train and say she's retired too. So anyhow, that was part 2, budgeting, creating our budget. If you have questions, leave me comments, and we will see you on the next one, part 3. We're going to get into some other stuff that's going to make you have to do some more work. It isn't easy, but it's going to be like a week-long stuff to work on. So spend the week getting your budget all together, figuring it out. If you have a budget, go through and evaluate. Like I said, go through and dig through everything. You know, how tight is your budget? How tight is everything? Is there something that you probably need to adjust or rethink about? There's always good questions. I'm not saying my method of budgeting is the best, They don't teach you budgeting in school or anything like this. This is just what we figured out. It's what we have been using for about 20 plus years now, and it has worked. Our method, the way we budget, and I can probably give more details if I have to, how we got out of debt and stuff like that. But this budgeting has worked for us greatly. Like I said, we've been in debt a couple of times, and by a lot, and this budgeting method has got us out of debt really quick each time. And so we stick with it, and we're growing with it. So with that, I will see you guys on the next one next Saturday for part 3. Later. Thank you for watching and liking.